I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. I have anger problems. Or so I did. Allegedly. Either way, this past year, I have taken a deep dive to figure out the root causes of my anger so that it no longer controls me. I now use anger as a helpful tool that helps serve me rather than allowing it to hijack my life. I no longer have road rage, I rarely get triggered, and I'm much more attuned to my emotions. We all owe it to ourselves to become the best version of ourselves, and mastering your emotions allows you to do that because then you're not letting an emotion control you. Most of us never learned how to process our anger growing up, and so we just suppressed it and stuffed it down, and so inevitably it's gonna come out, and it's gonna come out through little interactions throughout your day. For example, road rage. If you have road rage, you have suppressed anger. All right, so why is it so important to process our anger and understand it? Every emotion emits a certain frequency, and I know this sounds like a bunch of woo-woo, but stay with me, okay? So this is an emotional frequency chart, and every emotion emits a certain frequency. Happiness and joy are going to emit a lot higher frequencies, and then lower on the list we have guilt, fear, shame, and then anger is definitely low on the list as well. Of course, anger is such a healthy emotion and you should definitely process it, and there are plenty of times where it's valid and you should show it, but you also don't want to harbor this forever because it's going to keep you back from living the best life possible. Not only that, but having suppressed anger can actually harm you and cause physical illness, including cancer and autoimmune conditions. Dr. Gabriel Maté talks about this all the time, and it's especially common in women. So if you guys don't know, majority of autoimmune conditions affect women, and women culturally are just not allowed to show their anger as much as men are. And so when you suppress anger, it literally affects your immune system and it makes you more prone to having illnesses and autoimmune conditions. And most importantly, you want to be able to have emotional intelligence. People are not going to want to be around you if you're angry all the time. We owe it to ourselves to hold ourselves with grace, hold ourselves to the highest standard possible, live the best life possible. And people like that. People are going to be drawn towards you. Once you learn how to master your emotions, you're going to set an example for others as well. So what is anger? Anger is a primitive emotion that allows us to protect ourselves when our boundaries or territory is being crossed. By primitive, I mean that it's a very old emotion. Even animals display this, like a mama bear trying to protect her cubs. If you try to mess with that, she's gonna come after you. So anger is useful for our survival. It's an internal sign that something is crossing our boundaries, that something's threatening our core beliefs, and it's a call to action. Chances are, with a lot of us growing up, our boundaries have been crossed, and we were not allowed to display anger because we were children. We depended on our parents for survival. So if we showed anger, we'd be kicked to the curb, and we need a house, we need food, we need people to take care of us. And so what we do instead is we suppress this anger during childhood. But you can't just suppress an emotion and it just poof goes away. Inevitably, it's gonna come out in adulthood, and it's gonna come out in daily interactions. The most classic example is road rage. You obviously are not that pissed at someone for not turning their indicator on. It has something to do with what your mom did when you were 10 years old. Anger by no means is a personality trait. You are not an angry person. You are a human being who is experiencing the emotion of anger. All right, so what are other causes of anger? First and foremost are expectations. Expectations are probably the #1 source of anger. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have standards. Everyone should have high standards and goals that they want to achieve in life, but that should all be limited to you. And when it comes to you, by all means, have the highest standards, have the highest expectations of what you want to accomplish, but keep it within the locus of your control. And what I mean by that is things that you're able to control and have responsibility over in your life. The moment you start thinking that you have the ability to control how people act and behave, that's when things start getting real tricky. When we expect people to act a certain way, they inevitably are going to fail at some point, and then that's going to cause a lot of anger and frustration. Expectations are having this sense of entitlement that we're owed something, or that someone has to return something happening to us, as soon as we start believing that and expecting that out of things that are out of our control, we are setting ourselves up for failure. Instead, ask yourself, why did I expect this to happen? Why did I believe I was entitled to this? When you actually think about this, you may even find that this is not even something that you wanted. This is an expectation that your culture had placed on you, or society or social media had placed on you. Another reason why people tend to get angry, taking things personally. If someone is being rude to you and saying nasty things to you, you are validating them when you respond to those comments with anger, because now you're implying that there's some truth to what they're saying. So let me tell you something that's going to completely shift the way you look at the world. What people say is a direct reflection of themselves. So if someone is saying really hurtful, nasty, mean things to you, that's a reflection of how they're feeling inside. Now listen to me real close on this one. If someone is truly happy, they will not bring you down. Let me repeat, if someone is truly happy, they will not bring other people down. And so by nature, if someone is bringing you down, saying really hurtful things, or being a complete jerk to you, that's a reflection of how they're feeling inside. And instead of you responding to those comments with anger and validating what they're saying, once you understand this concept, you'll actually pity them, because wow, someone must be feeling so miserable to be such a jerk to you. They must be feeling so terrible inside that it's oozing out of them and they're hurting other people around themselves. That is how I need you to view things from now on, so that you no longer waste your time and energy getting angry at people. Being angry requires a lot of energy, and you simply just do not have the time for that. You are too good. You are too good. We often get angry because we want people to understand us. We want them to understand our point of view. Let me tell you, there are people out there who are so narrow-minded and are just going to view the world how they do, and they're not going to listen to you. No matter what you say, how you say it, no matter how many times you repeat yourself, certain people are just dead set on viewing the world how they are. Because if you explain your point of view, you're challenging their point of view and you're challenging their reality, and that's scary to them. And let me just save you a lot of time. Do not waste your time and energy on these people. You can spend a whole decade trying to translate your soul to someone who has earmuffs on and refuses to understand and hear you. But here we go back to focusing on locus of control. You cannot control how other people view you. You cannot control what other people are going to say to you. And you cannot control whether people are going to understand you or not. All you can control is what you do, right? And so as long as you tried your best to relay your point of view and to show your perspective, and if they still refuse to meet you halfway, and if they still refuse to understand you, that's on them. All right, so now let me give you some gems that are going to completely change how you think about things, so that you can get more control over your anger and actually master your emotions. So this is one concept that has completely changed my entire life, and it has to do with empathizing. And this was actually introduced by Dr. Chatterjee, who has a really famous podcast that you guys should check out. And basically he explains, if you were raised with the same experiences, the same circumstances, the same childhood as someone else, you would do exactly what they're doing now. You would be the exact same way. Let me repeat that so it makes sense. If you were raised with the same experiences, the same childhood, the same circumstances as someone else had, you would do exactly what they're doing right now. And that's gonna help you empathize. The thing is, we're all trying our best. We're all trying our best with what we know. And most of the time, people are not trying to hurt you. They're doing the best they can with what they know, with the knowledge that they have at that given time. And once you fully understand this concept, you're gonna gain so much mastery over your emotions, because then you'll be able to understand, oh, they just didn't know any better. They just don't know any better. And instead of getting angry, you're gonna learn to actually just feel sorry for them. Wow, you didn't even know any better. And this must have been a survival mechanism from early on in childhood. Like how bad your childhood must have been for you to act this way now, for you to think that this is the way to protect yourself. Once you start thinking like this, you're really unlocking a different way of living. And like truly, you are truly becoming the higher version of yourself, because now you understand that people are trying to do the best they can with what they know, and how they're acting is a direct reflection of what happened to them in their past. And most people are living in the past. They're not even here. Most people are not even here. They're not even present. And how they're acting and behaving towards you is actually because of something that happened in the past. And I'm not trying to justify anyone's behavior because of this, but once you unlock this way of understanding human emotions and anger, you are way better able to gain control of your own, and you're able to actually understand and empathize with people. And this is going to help you gain much more control over your life. Another thing you can do, if you have expectations from someone, for example, you want them to understand you, you want them to do certain things for you, do that for yourself. It's time to reparent yourself. Everything that you lacked in childhood that you had the right to have, that you weren't given, like unconditional love, give that to yourself now. If they're not understanding you, if they're not showing up for you the way you want them to, the way you expect them to, you do that for yourself. And then lastly, another way to process your anger is journaling. I cannot overstate the importance of journaling. It is incredibly helpful. And not just journaling, but actually something called shadow work, which you can find plenty of templates on. Pinterest, for example, has so many. But start asking yourself questions like, when was the first time I remember being angry? And how did I show my anger when I was a child? And what happened when I showed my anger as a child? Start asking yourself and journaling on these prompts so you can truly understand what was your relationship with anger. And that will help you understand how is it impacting you now. You're not always wrong if you're angry. Now, even if you've done all of this and you still find yourself being angry, like I was saying earlier, anger is a healthy emotion that helps serve as a tool to protect yourself, to protect your boundaries. And if someone is continually crossing your boundaries, if someone is continually showing toxic behavior, then it is your job to take action. You can't just continue to sit around and wait for it to go away. It's your job to remove these toxic people or these toxic behaviors out from your life so it doesn't continually impact you. You should not be able to learn how to live with anger. You should be able to use it as a tool to tell you that, oh, something is wrong with my life. This person continues to make me angry. Maybe it's not all my fault, I need to just remove them out of my life. And that's what you gotta do. It's really difficult. It's easier said than done, but I promise you it will help you in the long run. Sometimes we're just in the wrong relationship. We're with people who constantly trigger us, who refuse to understand us, who refuse to listen to us or respect our boundaries. And in those cases, you gotta just cut them out. Anger is showing you that there is something in your life that's not going right. There's something that just does not align with your values, and you need to listen to that sign. So just remember, anyone can be the perfect person on a perfect day where everything is going the right way. You can be happy and dandy. That's easy. But it's during those difficult times when you're having a bad day or when someone's being rude to you, how you respond to that, that is the true definition of your character. And so I hope this video will help you master your emotions, especially anger, so that you can show up as the best version of yourself. So hang in there, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.